look at, are we talking numbers of clients or dollars of sales, percentage, because there's quite a variance there if you look at, cross-section, obviously. The dollars per service, the treatments that the physician will do is certainly much higher per client and per hour. We will only have 6 places for people to work in this new location. And the image consulting services that I do makeovers, and I work with a lot of radio and TV personalities that need their image, worked on, quite frankly. But sorry.
We all look pretty good, though, I'm assuming.
Yeah. You look great. But as far as getting to that, I haven't done a total breakdown, but our spa side, as far as the massage and aesthetics, is about 30%, 15% of our business, maybe 10 or 15, is our retail business. The other part of it, on a regular basis, is a cross-section between the hair services. Now, I'll admit, our cosmetology treatments, we do lash extensions, which, are part of the aesthetic. They stay on for 2 months. We do hair extensions and for hair loss and, thinning and so forth. There's, it's a new type of business, not your traditional just haircut one after the other. I have hair extensions that I charge $900 to $1,000 for one client to come in, and I do that in about 3 hours. So, if you're really looking at it, it's kind of hard, to divide them into specific, whether you're talking spa or medical. The doctor, when he comes in, he actually collects his own, and it's quite pricey. If you've seen Botox, the fees for that, $400 to $600 a person when he does that, and we've not been set up comfortably for him to do other services on a regular basis because his equipment is kind of difficult to move back and forth, some of the lasers and things like that and the photofacials, but many of the other treatments he wants to do and wants to have a regular place so that he can do that. He does come in about, several times. I must admit, he's a very active guy. He was in Alaska for 3 weeks recently. He goes to Haiti. That's what I love about him. He's a very interesting guy, very dedicated, works with RAM all the time. So I chose him, and he chose me because we have a favorable recognition of how we want to treat people. And I love his skill level. He does his own work. He doesn't have, a marketing where he brings a patient in and then has a nurse or an injector do things. He does that himself, and I appreciate that about him as well. So getting back to your question, I hope I've answered a little bit as far as the ratio. Again, 6 staff, we only have 6 work areas, and that's between the hair, image consulting, nails, we'll do nails. Our treatment rooms, we have 2 private rooms that will be associated with our services I've mentioned, and we're open quite a few hours, accommodating, from Monday through Saturday and evening hours. So we're open, some evening hours. Very few of our staff members will be there all at the same time. At certain hours, it'll be rare to have everybody working the same hours because we have our own schedule.
When is the next Board of Zoning Appeals meeting?
Next week.
Too late to get on that agenda, right?
David, question for you, just real quick. From a timing standpoint, and I agree with Tom that we need to do it properly. I also agree with Alderman Markley. We want to help the businesses in this community, and you have a mess. So, we'd like to help you, but we need to make sure that we do things properly and don't create another mess. And that's always the most difficult part, whether you're on this board or on the Planning Commission. Question, David, and this is making assumptions, okay? Because you have to realize there's a lot of other folks that would be voting on this other than
like
this
a chess
cast
game.
of characters.
You got to play it out to see.
It can be at times. With the Planning Commission next Thursday, and I asked this question with the assumption that everybody says, yes, we're okay with this, okay? With the Planning Commission next Thursday, if the Planning Commission was gracious enough to hold a called meeting, if they had it on the 22nd or 29th or any time between the 15th and our meeting, On the October 6th, we have a meeting, correct? Isn't that our first meeting in October? Thursday, October 6th?
It would be October the 13th.
I'm sorry,
Would
I'm
be our
off.
meeting.
Thank you. October the 13th. If we had the first reading, could we get the first reading on the 13th and the second one on the 27th? And if that all sailed through, I mean, I know there's a lot of big ifs, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here. Would she be in a position then on the 28th or as late as November 1st to proceed?
The Planning Commission would have to have a special called meeting between, is this what I'm trying to make sure
Yeah.
I understand. Special called meeting between September the 15th, next Thursday, and the board meeting, the Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting on October the 13th. So one of those weeks right before that, a week or two before, they could meet special called meeting if that's what the Planning Commission desires to do, and deal with this issue, and then we could get it on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen agenda for October 13th, and then the second reading could be October the 27th.
Is there any, you said this next week they're going to discuss it,
Mm-hmm.
so they wouldn't be voting on it then. Is there any way they can discuss it and vote on it at the same time?
I don't believe we've.
Hey, I know you're that good.
I've heard you're good, so.
It seems like to me that would expedite it a little bit.
I think that's a process we can look at in the future. It's not going to help Ms. Handel out this time, but certainly we can look at that for Planning Commission meetings in the future for items such as this. But for the time being, they'll have discussion, they'll talk about it, they'll make recommendations, and then staff will get back and work on the ordinance and present that back to the Planning Commission for their vote to then come before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and go through our two-reading process. So I think the October 27th date, we can certainly do that if the Planning Commission's going to have a special called meeting in
Yeah.
between. Mm-hmm.
I'm okay either way, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
The only issue is if the Planning Commission does not have a special called meeting, then their regular meeting would be October the 20th. The board could have, their next meeting would be the 27th, and you could have a special call meeting at any point after that. You know, you could have it on a Friday. It doesn't have to be on a Thursday night. We could do it any time. As long as we have the proper public notice, that's the main thing for the public hearing, because the public hearing is on the second reading. So that's the main thing we need to worry about.
Well, I've got a question that may be pretty obvious, but hey, where are you? First of all, where are you in the process of outfitting this this space? But how far along are you with the process? I mean, you got you got your.
We got about 4 days in there. We are painted and measured, demoed, and we have some cuts, you know, for the plumbing, obviously, treatment rooms, every single room.
Right. So you're just getting started, basically. Is there existing space in the other zone, in the other zoning category that you could just pick up and run with over there? I mean, just are you married to this particular site? And I realize you're.
I've thought about that. I mean, I do think there's a space for lease over there, but it's not. It is right now a bay, an empty bay. It would require the 4 days. 4 or 5 days of demo and so forth, and then again starting the cutting and so.
Well, I'm just wondering if it I don't know what, I can't speak for the Myers, but it seems like they kind of sort of got you into a situation here. They might be amenable to swapping out an equal space, because I think all the spaces are pretty much identical.
Not exactly. I do know that there's a space. I don't know who owns it. You know, there's obviously I purchased the condo. Other people there are leasing, so I'm not sure.
Maybe owned by another investor that's leasing it out.
Very much could be. I know that up above and behind the space, there's a space available that it's owned by an individual, not Nick or Noah.
Yeah.
And so it could be that I'm, misspeaking about the availability of that. It does say for lease on it, and it is smaller than the space that I'm currently owning.
I guess my suggestion was if they had an equivalent space that would serve you just as well, it might be easier on everyone if you could just flip over there. I mean, obviously you've lost a little bit of time and there'd be some planning and whatnot, but so we're talking the best we could do would be about 6 weeks. Is that what I'm hearing? Or, well, yeah, about 8 weeks, 6 weeks. Get them turned around.
I think we could certainly try to do that and make that happen, whether it's a special called planning commission or a special called BMA or a combination of both. I mean, we can certainly do that. If the board's amenable and the planning commission's amenable, we can do it as quickly as we can, as long as we make sure we give the proper public notice. And as long as we do that and we're within our legal bounds, then we can do whatever we can to help accommodate and get this through the process.
Well,
So the end of
I for one
October.
would certainly be willing to address this. We've done it for other people, and certainly I would have no problem.
Hey, you know, the problem is we have one planning commission meeting a month. And I know that was done for a reason, but it does get in the way at times.
If I'm understanding correctly, it's not just the certificate of occupancy that we're concerned about as far as the timing and converging on the approval of the text amendment and voting on that. It's the actual up at the same place.
Well, that was my question. If we could kind of give them a special dispensation, recognizing that this is not an adversarial type thing. It's an inadvertent situation that occurred by all the parties working in good faith and recognizing we're all working together to get it resolved.
But I think Mr. Hale spoke to that, and that was his point, that you have to do it the same way with everybody.
I like the thought. The problem is, if you think you're disturbed now, if we were sitting here in a little while and it didn't go the way we all planned, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of other folks that need to vote on this as well, and it turned out not to be the case, you're really going to be upset if you've got 6 weeks worth of work and investment in that thing.
Correct. I'm
and then
already
you get
upset
a
that
no.
I have 4 days, yes.
I think that's kind of the concern I have, and I was along the same lines as questioned earlier to see if there was not another option of you moving to another spot. That seems to be a better fit, because from what I've heard, and I don't have the ordinance in front of me, and I've just heard from Mr. Hale's opinion, I mean, we can go back and forth on this all night as to where you fall and what you have. I mean, I don't know how to resolve that, but, I empathize with your position, but I'm also concerned that, we have a process for a reason, and part of that is unintended consequences. It may seem simple sitting here right now, but when it's a chance to vet it through the system, sometimes there are things that come up, and I'm not saying this is one of them, but, maybe, maybe not. We just don't know. And so there is an importance to the fact that, you made an incorrect assumption, and it's unfortunate for you, and I feel sorry for you on that, and it is costing you money. The